couple of different segments on it. What now in sports should be returned, if anything, that has not been?
Bobby Bowden's wins.
All right, vacated. I'm not a big fan. I've made that clear about teams or programs vacating wins.
I would, after Penn State got their wins unvacated, I would go back and I would unvacate all wins. Not just Bobby Bowden's. I think that's the dumbest penalty in the world because, it takes off the record and all these things. And the other thing is, the team that lost to those teams doesn't think we got a dub now. That's not how it works. That's what I would do in college. I would just reinstate all that stuff.
Yeah, I don't know what other options there are. Pete Rose, I'm not giving him anything back, but I don't really think there's a whole lot else to choose from.
Garrett, can you think of anything?
I mean, vacated wins I agree with, but I don't know what else what are my other options? Because I'm not saying Pete Rose gets reversed because now sports gambling's legal, but that's also kind of what the NCAA said today. I think his was a situation where you leave it as is, but if somebody's got an option other than vacated wins, then I would be happy to chew on that.
There's nothing I can think of. I mean, I'm trying to think from the teams I've rooted for throughout the years. There's no big scandal or anything that comes to mind. But the Pete Rose, I think, is a valid argument. I mean, gambling is legal now. If you want to take the same premise you did with this, I think there's an argument there. But
gambling
at the same
is
time,
legal, but players still cannot gamble. We saw what happened to the young kid from in the NBA, right?
Yeah. You can't gamble on your own team. Pete Rose, I firmly believe this, is not in the Hall of Fame because of gambling anymore. Because he lied about it until the point of, now I'm on the Veterans Committee and I'm about to run out of time of that, so let me sell this book and tell you what I did. And then that's what made everybody mad. Because there were so many people stumping for him for so long he's the all-time hits leader. He should be in. It's not about his managerial time. He's the hits leader. He's the hits leader. He's the hits leader. That's what you had about Pete Rose. And then he was like, yeah, I got to sell this book and maybe get my last-ditch effort. And all the people who were like, man, I was stumping for you because nobody ever proved this, and then you just made me look like an idiot, for sticking up for you. So I think Pete Rose kind of dug his own grave whenever
for sure
comes to that. But
I'm saying I'm definitely not giving him back anything. He doesn't deserve it, but I brought him up just because that's the only thing I could think of that was taken away that we're not talking about is college football victories, basically. So I don't there's not some trophy for some organization that was taken away in 1972 and now they need to give it back. There's not another. I mean, is there another Reggie Bush out there? I don't think so. So it seems like just the options are limited here. But I definitely wouldn't turn back the clock and change the Pete Rose decision.
One thing I personally would like to see changed, and I don't think this will ever happen, but I feel like the steroid era players from baseball should have their own segment inside of Cooperstown.
I think that's a great part of what I asked. And I was looking at the vacated. Bobby Bowden's name was brought up, but I can't stand vacated wins and stuff like that. I don't like the fact that players who played currently for a program are hurt by what happened prior to that, unless there's some sort of connection with whoever is still maybe the coach or whatever. But no, the steroids era.
Yeah, that bothers me.
Which we can debate some of them. But if you debate, let's say, Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire, Jose Canseco, Juan Gonzalez, and Gonzalez is not a Hall of Famer anyway. He was on his way to being one. But, that might be one where the Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens are 1A and 1B, I would think, of that argument. And I'm probably obviously missing somebody that's right there in front of me.
But, I mean, I think everybody, even if with or without steroids, a lot of the people who were eligible for the Hall of Famers would have been Hall of Famers regardless. And I think you got to look at that whole era as a whole and just put its own little wing. And because to me –
put it on the plaque.
Yeah, exactly.
Put it on the plaque or put it underneath their image of their.
I think Bonds was on his way there. I don't know about most of the other guys.
Clemens was.
Yeah,
Clemens and Bonds were Hall of Famers.
Sosa was not on his way to the Hall of Fame.
No.
McGwire, I don't remember where he was, but he certainly took his game to an entirely different level, Balco-wise.
Yeah, he was. He was already a great power hitter, but
he wasn't Mark McGwire, the biggest star in baseball.
He had 47. Popeye. He had 47 home runs his rookie year.
Okay,
Bash Brothers.
So
yeah,
but Why do I know that? Like, but anyway,
The Bash Brothers is a cultural
You have a
moment.
baseball card.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, there are guys like Raffy Palmeiro. I'm apoplectic about his cause because he went from a doubles hitter to a power hitter.
Right.
Like that, those kind of things. And of course, I always liked Raffy, but Sosa lied in front of Congress.
So did Raffy.
So did Raffy. Yeah, both of them did. Clemens should be in. Bond should, I think all those guys should be in, but
Let's see what the chat. I'm going to the chat as well.
eventually, here's one of the things that may happen with those guys is eventually there might be a Veterans Committee push for them when the Veterans Committee has guys like them on it, like other guys who were in that era.
Alex Rodriguez.
Yeah. A-Rod, they should be in. A-Rod.
A-Rod's PR. See, this is what's happened in football where you saw some guys start to become analysts on those pregame and postgame shows, and it kind of helped them become maybe even not rushed them into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but it kind of helped them because they were right in front of people all the time. I'm not saying Strahan, he was anyway, or a few others.
Strahan didn't need any
No,
repair.
he did not.
He didn't need any image rehab. A-Rod, I still don't like him. I still don't like A-Rod. I just never will. Probably a Rangers thing. But yeah, he's tried to rehab his image to some extent. He has, I suppose.
To me, it's not up to the voters, which are baseball writers, on this one. Why not put it up to those who are in the Hall of Fame who are still alive who can vote?
Why are you going to give away your power? That's what I would say. These baseball writers are going to give away their big magical power of being able to rule over these players that otherwise they'd have absolutely nothing over them. But now they have the Hall of Fame switch that they can flip willy-nilly however they want to with their votes. So, yeah, I think that's a power you don't relinquish if you're a baseball voter. I know if I was a Hall of Fame voter and they're like, hey, sorry, we're taking it away, we're going to give it to the players, I'd be bummed as hell. I mean, forget all of the controversial part of it. I'd be like, dang, that sucks. That's a cool thing to have, is to vote on the Baseball Hall of Fame.
If they would have asked me about Reggie Bush, if they would have gone back to the voters who are the voters now, I would have said put him in. I would have. Now, again, if they did that without asking, but that's that's their trust. That's their award, their honor. And they voted to bring him back in. I think a lot of former players, as Ty Detmer said, and also you could tell by the ceremony today, were very much wanting him to get back in it. Not just Johnny Manziel, but others. Ben Johnson, the 100 meters.
No,
he was roided to the gills, buddy. Yeah, I don't know about that one. That was pretty clear, just cheating. And I know the other guys we're talking about in baseball, that was pretty clear in some cases as well.
No, but you're talking about 10 seconds of running.
Yeah.
Certainly that's a thing.
Right. That's very clearly an advantage as opposed to hitting the baseball a little bit farther and doing all of that. But, I mean, yeah, it's a valid one to bring up. But I just immediately balk and go, no, he was clearly cheating like crazy.
UW fan Jim? Just because they played in the era does not make them guilty. Now, there are some
saying, how do you prove it?
My thing was guys from their era who don't care or who think they should be in. I don't know. I'm not saying that they're guilty. I'm just saying that when the Veterans Committee has some guys that are like, yeah, we played against Roger Clemens. He struck us out a bunch of times. Steroids, no steroids. That guy was awesome. I don't.
Let's call it what it is. The wing would be like four guys. It would be Mark McGwire. It would be Roger Clemens. It would be Barry Bonds. And then I don't know if you want to throw Sammy Sosa or something, but it's the same guy. We're not talking about like Brady Anderson and people like that who weren't Hall of Famers or were hot for a second because of steroids. I think this conversation revolved, and that's the shame of it with a guy like Barry Bonds is, dude, you were gonna be in. Mm-hmm. You were going to be in without all that stuff.
I don't think McGuire's on that list. No. I think he would be a part of the Hall of Fame based on the years that he had. But Sosa, no. McGuire, no. But I would think, no question, Bonds and Clemens and A-Rod.
Well, A-Rod would be the other one, the steroids wing too. He would have to be a part of that as well. But yeah, I don't know how vast that wing would be, or if it would be like the same. And maybe 4 or 5 guys that are kind of the main characters here.
It wasn't who's the lefty? Pettit, Andy Pettit.
Andy doesn't have enough wins, I think, to get in. Although they're going to have to readjust pitcher criteria because baseball's doing that for them.
Because if not, then there's going to be nobody from this era that ends up getting in outside, past Verlander. Or,
Kershaw, Verlander, Scherzer going to win. Colt, but
256 is a pretty good number. 18 years, lots of World Series.
I think Andy, if was a baseball writer and they gave me a vote, I would vote Andy Pettitte in just because, again, 256 wins, but like he also is the all-time winning postseason win leader.
No, he
that
was,
to me is
I'm
a big
looking at
deal.
that right
but
now, yeah.
you know, maybe I'm not the right guy.
Postseason victories. He was of course, with the Yankees for years and years and years. And then the Astros. He had a little stint with the Astros in 2005 where he was 1-1. That's just a thought. Just another, like with Reggie Bush. Does that lead to something else that they look at? I don't know if there's any enough shout from the mountains. Wet Blanket said, if you don't like Pete Rose, then you are the problem. Listen, the late Butch Henry went to his grave thinking that Pete Rose should have been in baseball's Hall of Fame, and yet Pete Rose, of course, has not helped his cause, as you mentioned, Paul, at all. I've said this story, but not probably on the podcast. I'm at the Super Bowl in San Diego, and we're at the horse track. And it was with the great Randy Galloway. We're just enjoying one of the evenings after his shows. And
I don't believe you that Randy Galloway was at a horse track.
Well, and here comes walking into the bathroom Pete Rose. And again, that's fine. He was betting on horses, but he couldn't stay away from gambling and betting on. I was there. I admit it. I was there, although I didn't win any money.
You weren't like a part of a murder.
No.
It's okay to admit that you were there. Yeah, you were like.
But I remember that
I was
story.
holding the knife, and then he walked in. You're not going to get in trouble for it.
I hid the other glove or whatever it might be. All right.